on landing. He may have to settle for the bronze.
This is my Eiffel Tower. This is my Rachmaninoff's third, my Pieta. It's completely elegant, it's bafflingly beautiful, and it's capable of reducing the population of any standing structure to zero. I call it the ex-wife.
Hello everyone, welcome to Settle for the Bronze. This is A-Red007 here with
Ty Gloves.
And this week we're talking about Iron Man 2, which is... I don't know, how do fanboys feel about this movie? Cause
I feel like it's a... See, I thought that animosity was fairly high towards it.
Yeah. Like, generally, when I see, like, when people do their top 10 lists of... Or their rankings of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies...
Lower than most.
It's usually that and Thor The Dark World are toward the bottom.
Yeah.
And...
As well as some people don't like the first Captain America and the first Thor. I know,
yeah.
Those are other ones.
Yeah, those are the usually ones at the bottom. But I'm going to go ahead and say before we get any further... We're not quite sure where all the problems, like the critiques that people have. We're not quite sure what's going on with that. Tyclops, your scorekeeper, go ahead and give us a score.
So,
and we have added a new statistic that we're going to use, and that is the Metacritic score.
Mm-hmm. Just to have more statistics. Statistics are fun. Also, it helps in this case because otherwise it looks like we're reviewing a fairly positively reviewed movie.
Back to the Future.
Go. This is one of the higher reviewed ones that we're going to do. It's got 7.1 on IMDb, 73% critics rating, and 72% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So basically the same, which is rare.
Yeah, that doesn't usually happen.
Yeah.
Usually it's a difference of like 20, 25 points.
At least.
Especially with the movies that we're talking
10 to 20. Yeah. And a 57% on Metacritic.
Yeah.
So, personally, I actually think they're all pretty low. I enjoy this movie a lot, and I don't really understand why there's that many problems or that much hatred for it. Yeah. I'd probably put it at maybe even like a high B. Like I'm a big fan.
Where does it rank in the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies?
You're putting me on the spot here. It's been a while since I've seen a lot of them, so I can't say for sure.
Just a general.
I'd probably have to watch Iron Man 3 again to really get a good grasp. But I'd say it's probably right under the ones that are generally really, really well acclaimed.
Like Guardians of the Galaxy, Winter Soldier, first Iron Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe middle range. I guess a little lower to the bottom just because there have been a lot of good ones. But...
See, it's so hard to rank the Marvel movies because... personally, for me, so few of them I think are of low quality that all of them are kind of just bunched up.
Especially not Age of Ultron. That movie was great. Sex scene between Scarlet Witch and Black Widow though, that was awesome. And
yeah, that came.
They brought in the Mandarin. Oh, it was so good. It was so.
It's pretty hot.
Actually, we are doing this review ahead of time before Age of Ultron comes out, but we're trying to. Prime this up so it releases
trying to rake in those views.
Yeah, but for some reason, if somebody's looking up Iron Man 2 after they go see Age of Ultron, we're very excited for it, and that's propelling the reason for us doing this movie.
Yes.
Anyway,
what are my thoughts on this movie? I pretty much have the same thoughts as you have. I in all the movies we've done for Settle for the Bronze thus far, I have not found one that I hated or didn't like. I've liked all the movies we've talked about.
It's up there. It's somewhere along the road.
But I like the movie a lot, but I'm not quite to the level that you're at. Because I do have some problems with the movie. But they're not like huge, broad problems that break the movie. It's not like there's huge story problems or character issues. It's small stuff. It's just here and there.
And that's fair.
I'd probably give it like the B- B range. I mean, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. Agreed. It's
much like Pirates of the Caribbean 3, it's very entertaining. It's chock full of entertainment value.
I love to watch it.
I could watch this movie on a loop. I could watch it over and over again.
Because I think... I guess we should go ahead and say should this be the end of our non-spoiler territory.
Now we're getting into spoilers, people.
Just jump right in. To jump right in, I feel like all the characters are very... lived in. They all feel. I mean, a lot of them have little like weird eccentricities to them, and is that even a word? I don't know.
Eccentricities, yes.
Yes, there we go. Resident dictionary. Thank you. But I feel like they all, there's nothing that just makes them caricatures or anything like that. Like they all are weird and awkward to some extent, but they all, it's a lot like at World's End, where every character, they're goofy, but you feel for them, and even less so because less of the characters are there just solely for comic relief. But like every character does things that are true to. Well, they stay true to what they've been established as throughout the movie.
The internal logic of the characters doesn't break down.
Which is, again, a similar praise I had for At World's End.
Yeah.
Why are we comparing Pirates of the Caribbean and Iron Man 3? I don't know.
Because
Iron Man 2, I don't know.
We watched the two recently in recording times, whatever.
Yeah.
That was the last video that we did for Settle for the Bronze, so get over it.
Well, are you insinuating that our viewers haven't watched it? Loyal fans, prove him wrong in the comments by liking and subscribing.
I insinuate that haters and trolls are going to comment in the comment section. It's like, quit talking about Pirates 3. I want to hear about Iron Man 2. That's what I clicked on this video for.
Even though both those movies are completely irrelevant at this point.
Yep.
Oh, this is great.
Talk about Age of Ultron, you hacks.
Pretty much.
Well, I guess I should start trying to pinpoint what problems I have. Not all of the jokes really work for me. Like, particularly, there's the one joke where Mickey Rourke's character, Whiplash, he just keeps talking about the bird. He's like, I want my bird. And Sam Rockwell, Justin Hammer, he keeps going, what bird? I don't know. And this goes on for like 2 or 3 scenes, and it's just, I don't find it very funny. I don't find it funny at all.
I think it's a little funny. I do agree that it doesn't go anywhere and there's no real point to it. And it's,
like if
it's a funny little it's a funny little character trait. No, but like, it's not as important as the other characters. Like
you said when we were watching it, if it actually meant something to Mickey Rourke's character,
like if his dad gave him the bird or something like, it's which I feel like they kind of hint at in the intro scene, but I mean it's not really, which is a big problem in this movie. I feel like it's the thing that for me stops this movie from reaching into like the A range, is it feels there's not a lot of stuff that I see and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at all, like plot wise and leaps and logic and stuff. It all if you for most of the plot stuff, when I found an issue with it, if you think back and if you really look at the movie, you can find up a very plausible explanation for how it happened. Yeah. But it doesn't give those explanations.
It requires a lot of leaps in logic.
Yeah, it requires you to really to kind of think back. Well, I guess that's what happened there, and that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing that's impossible. There's nothing that breaks the movie. It's just, except for some of the science behind.
Yeah. I want to point out 3 things that bother me. Or that did bother me. Mm-hmm. One of which you helped fix. See, what I remembered from the movie before we watched it was Mickey Rourke's motivations make total sense until he meets up with Justin Hammer, and then they just completely don't make sense. Yes. Because his whole deal with Tony Stark is, your family has ruined mine, so I'm going to ruin your legacy and show everyone that you're weak and you can be beaten or you can be damaged and see how the world destroys you. And then, from what I remembered was, once he meets up with Justin Hammer, he just suddenly turns the switch. He's like, okay, now I want to kill him.
Yeah. Which, well, let you continue with that.
Well, your explanation was, well, he's trying to build all the drones, and he's manipulating Hammer so he can destroy
he's not letting Hammer put men in these suits because then he wouldn't be able to control it as easily.
Yeah, and he wants to control the drones so he can destroy the Stark Expo, which is a symbol of Tony's ego.
Yeah, and it's a legacy of Howard Stark.
Yeah, and it's only when Tony shows up at the end he's like, okay, gonna kill him now.
Yeah, yeah.
So that made sense.
And also he thought Tony was dead most of the time.
Yeah, or he was going to die because of the poison.
Yeah, and then he finds a way to fix it.
The palladium
which is probably the worst problem with the movie. As cool as a scene as it is, the scene where he creates a new element.
That was point number 2 I was going to
well, there we go. Segues are fun.
Well, not just that, it's how he gets there.
Yes,
because, like I said, when we were watching it, it's not quite the level of Amazing Spider-Man 2... where Peter's father leaves him the secret message in the subway for him to find using the coins and the calculator.
And he looks up, what is the name of the subway?
The Roosevelt something, yeah. It's totally ridiculous. There's no way he'd be able to expect Peter
It very much emphasizes the table that Tony uses to create the atom,
the Stark Expo map,
the layout. It very much emphasizes like this is my legacy, and so he starts analyzing. And he's like, oh, and it's off the wall, and I don't think it makes. I am not a scientist by any means, but I don't think it makes any sense from a scientific point of view. Neither does creating a new element that like the way he does, but it's whatever.
The fact that he's recreating a new element.
Who knows? This is a comic book movie. It within the logic of the movie, it more or less makes sense. So,
but specifically the fact that his dad doesn't tell him in the recording, he's like, okay, you need to...
I don't think that's as much of a problem because I feel like that was I want specifically my son to figure this out and no one else. And if I just said it, somebody else could watch this film and would end up figuring out how to make it.
I don't know.
So that's not a problem for me. I feel like it all makes sense.
My suspension for disbelief stretches a bit too far in that area.
It is a stretch.
Okay. Yeah, that whole part's just ridiculous. But my final part, my problem with the movie is the climax.
And I can kind of agree with this.
Specifically the part where it's Tony and Rhodey and they're fighting against Whiplash and he's got the bigger Iron Man suit because we've never seen that before.
This I have no problem with. Although I wish it was, because a little comic backstory here. In this movie, is it Anton Vanko is
his dad?
Okay, so Ivan Vanko is yes,
Whiplash,
okay. Yes. So the movie basically combines two Iron Man villains, which are the Crimson Dynamo and Whiplash. And Crimson Dynamo basically just had who incidentally worked with Black Widow in his first appearance, I believe, or at least she was involved somehow. He shows up and like a red like power suit sort of thing that's very similar to the Iron Man suit. And then Whiplash is a separate character who's just this supervillain that has a whip and he likes to use whips. And they combine them together and
kinky.
Apparently, I don't know how that works, but they combine them together, and I don't know what their inspiration for that was. But basically, I wish that the suit he showed up in was red, just as a callback to that, or has some sort of defining factor that doesn't make it look like the Ironmonger suit.
Other than the Whiplash suit, it looks like a very generic Iron Man copy.
Yeah.
But it's just bigger. But my problem with it is that the fight lasts for what feels like 5 seconds.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say it lasts too long, and I was like, no,
it feels very short.
That's fair.
And then they just fix it by, oh hey, remember that trick where we blew up your house earlier, where we both shoot our repulsor beams at each other? Let's do that again.
Which is not a problem for me. That's a territory that a lot of comic book movies have problems with. Is what to do. Or like what they can get away with without making it become a cringeworthy moment. And everybody has that tolerance level, and it also depends on how they've liked the movie so far. But where certain things and like if you do certain callbacks in certain ways or make certain jokes, then it's just not going to work.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking specifically of Spider-Man 3 when Peter's thinking, oh, how do I beat Venom? And then he remembers, oh, that time when I hit the church bell and it made Venom go crazy because he doesn't like sound. It feels like that to me.
That's bizarre because I actually don't mind that in Spider-Man 3.
That's all one the things you hate.
Anything for you to point out in Spider-Man 3, that's one thing I actually have no problem with. Now, to be fair, I don't remember exactly how they did that. For all I know on the commentary, I'm like, this is terrible! But basically...
Quick plug for our Spider-Man 3 commentary.
Yes, you should go watch it. Yeah, I don't know. It's not as much of a problem for me. It's not a huge like callback sort of thing where it's like they just freak out about it and make it a big deal. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, that thing we did. Let's try that. Now that we're on a team, let's try it. It doesn't have that much of an issue for me.
I don't know. And then like the second they beat him, he's like, okay, you lose anyway. I'm just gonna blow up all the drones.
Yeah, and that doesn't do anything.
And then it doesn't have any consequence.
Which is probably my biggest problem with the movie. I think I already said that twice, but whatever. Another big problem I have with the movie is the fact that during the finale climax thing, people are obviously dying in this.
Oh yeah,
fight
because the drones are blowing up everything.
Yeah, and it doesn't really
it doesn't show
it
any
plays
of
off
that.
Which is probably the biggest problem the Marvel movies have had so far, is that they just kind of play off people dying and civilian. The fact that citizens are obviously getting killed here, and they're just kind of like, eh.
I'm thinking of specific shots on the Avengers where like aliens are running into buildings full of people and they're shooting.
Yeah.
They do not show a single human getting shot.
Yeah, and there. I remember specifically in the Avengers, there are scenes where explosions happen, and the explosions happen in such a way that you can work your mind logic in the right way to assume that they might have gotten away.
But that almost feels like the G.I. Joe cartoon from the 80s where, oh, this airplane's about to blow up. Oh, no, the guy parachuted out.
Yeah,
He's
exactly,
fine.
exactly. It's that exact kind of thinking. And, I mean, they're supposed to be geared kind of towards kids. I follow. But I hope that's kind of a change we start to get away from, and I hope that things get darker in future Marvel movies, because I feel like they're not doing it as much as they should.
It seems very much like the opposite of Man of Steel.
Yeah, and that's the thing about that, is I was thinking is, yeah, they didn't try and show anybody dying, but remember when they showed that in Man of Steel, people, like when they made it obvious that people were dying,
CGI dead bodies everywhere.
Yeah, people obviously had a huge backlash towards that. It's like, oh my god, Superman sucks. He screwed all this up. And he
Although
killed
to
those
be
people.
fair, there's story problems with that you can argue.
But that you can argue he could have saved more and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it does make the climax feel kind of iffy, just because it seems like he should be doing more to save these people.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. That it's kind of a downplaying of the consequences of what he's doing.
Yeah, I agree.
Which doesn't fit because of the fact that a lot of the movie is about how he is trying to kind of readjust and figure out who he is as a superhero and as this new public persona he's taken on, sort of like the way, and the fact that he's dying because of his
and what he wants
condition.
people to remember him
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
The whole theme of legacy and what we leave behind.
Yeah. And they don't really address the consequences of the final battle, so it's kind of like, eh. Even though the final battle might not necessarily be that important, it's supposed to be just kind of a...
Well, also,
I don't know.
along with that, once he goes off the deep end, when he gets drunk and has the party at his house, and he blows up his house, there is no consequences to that.
Yeah.
I mean, Pepper hates him until he saves the day.
Yeah, yeah.
And other than that, no consequences.
Yeah. Which doesn't matter so much, although you can argue that Pepper I don't mind so much because she didn't know that he was dying, and that's why he's just like...
No, I'm fine with that. I'm just saying, that's the only representation of a consequence.
Yeah, I agree.
There's nothing else.
And I mean, again, him blowing up his house, he's rich, it doesn't matter a whole lot. But yeah, you'd expect there to be more social
the fact that he
issues.
Freaked out everyone. He blew up his house when there were people around.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I feel like the cops would try and arrest him.
Yeah, maybe. Although, I don't know. It's
to be fair,
true.
S.H.I.E.L.D. comes in and...
Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D. intervenes after that.
Yeah.
Which I guess you could argue is supposed to be his consequences, that he gets monitored by S.H.I.E.L.D., but then... And then it's a good segue into what might be some people's biggest complaint, is that a lot of people feel like this is a huge advertisement for Avengers. I totally disagree with that.
I don't see it at all.
The one thing I was about to say was, they mentioned Coulson has to go southwest, or has bigger problems in the southwest, or something like that, to go meet Thor. Is that the end credit that
the after
follows?
credit scene is him showing up in New Mexico.
Okay.
And he finds
Thor's
the hammer.
Yeah. And, I mean, Nick Fury shows up. They mention him.
My only problem is that Nick Fury has no context for showing up.
And I think that's
he's
where...
there.
I think that's where this
and
complaint...
if you didn't watch that after credit scene in the first Iron Man movie, screw you.
And I think that's where the complaint comes from.
Yeah.
Too. I feel like that's why it's like, oh, why is Nick Fury here? This sucks. And it makes sense. And they kind of, if you listen closely to the conversation and you didn't know who he was, you would probably get a good idea. Generally, I mean, she said, or Black Widow specifically says he's Director Fury, and
yeah.
You know,
and I don't feel like Black Widow's shoehorned into the movie.
No,
if that's,
no, I disagree.
That's something people
her whole point is that she's spying on Stark for S.H.I.E.L.D., I guess, and she's just been there the whole time doing that. Yeah. So, yeah, it's the end scene where they talk about the Avengers Initiative is the only thing that really seems to set that up, and it's just one scene. I really don't understand that complaint in the slightest, because the rest of the movie is about him trying to figure himself out.
Yeah.
And they don't even use War Machine in Avengers, so you can't make that argument. Like, it baffled me a little bit. Like, that's not the feeling I got at all from this.
Yeah.
I guess it might be something where it felt like it was going to be more important to Avengers when it first came out, and obviously the initial reviews are the worst. Like are what's going to really stick with the movie, even if people later see that that's not quite as big of an issue.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's weird to me.
Like, I see Captain America the First Avenger as more of an advertisement for Avengers than this.
Yeah?
Just because it sets up so many other things that go into the plot of Avengers, like the Tesseract and all that.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. But, well, I guess not really besides the point. The complaint doesn't hold any water for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Now let's get on to the good stuff.
Okay.
Like we said, ridiculous amounts of entertainment value. The action sequences are great, except for the end. For me, that whole part.
I like the action sequences at the end. It kind of feels like at that point it's like, oh yeah, we have to have a big battle. We'll get that out of the way and it'll happen. And
it feels almost like it's a checklist. It's like, okay, that's the next thing on the list.
They're running through the paces a bit at that point.
Yeah.
It happens. Which I kind of wish it wasn't. It didn't have. I kind of wish he'd like stopped them from doing the drone thing or something like that, or like he got to Vanko, whatever, and fought him in his fancy suit before he released the drones. I made them go crazy. Something like that. Because the rest of the movie does not feel like a superhero movie in the way you expect it to be. The rest of the movie is him him kind of dealing with the fact that now he's a big superhero and everybody loves him. Well, meanwhile, his personal life's falling apart because he's going to die, and he's trying to balance this new like amazing public, approval of him with the fact that his life has never felt worse, and it throws his life out of balance, and I love all that. And I think it all works well when you look at it in that right, even though it may not. It feels like this movie is very, very important to Tony Stark's character in the Marvel Universe, even though it might not be that obvious if you haven't seen the rest of the Marvel movies.
Yeah. It may depend on watching the other Marvel movies to really appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree. Which is the thing, is that at this point, you're kind of expected to have watched all the other ones, so it's...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously, when they get to Infinity War and all that, I mean, they're gonna have to. There's no way they're gonna be able to be like, oh yeah, if you're new, this is fine.
When they get to the Spider-Man movie, they'll probably have it required that you watch all the Netflix shows. I mean,
yeah, maybe. I mean,
who knows?
It's gonna hit points where there's no turning back. Where it's gonna be like, all right, if you haven't watched all these movies, you're gonna be out of the loop, and we got nothing for you.
Yeah.
Which it's. I mean, that's how sequels are done.
Well, at this point, they're so popular, I don't see how you can't have watched it. You must be living under a rock if you haven't watched these movies.
Yeah.
Or you just really don't care. In which case, why are you jumping on the bandwagon now?
Yeah. I mean, it's the kind of thing where I feel like if you watch one of them, especially now where they seem to be even increasing in quality, if you watch one of them...
For the most part.
Well, I'm thinking the last two, at least. A-Rod has problems with Thor 2. Many problems with Thor 2.
We'll get to that eventually,
But
fuck that movie. What?
I feel like if you watch one of them, you're going to end up being hooked and be like, oh, I want to go watch all these other ones. And then you'll find Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you'll find the Netflix series. I'm assuming those are going to be good. They look good.
Well, we've already seen Daredevil, haven't we?
Wink, wink. Not yet. I'm sad.
It's going to be released in a couple weeks from the time that we're recording.
Yes.
So we actually haven't had the chance to see Daredevil yet.
Yes. But yeah, it's the kind of thing where this universe should be encompassing enough that you want to go back and catch up on everything else. So that's kind of what they're banking on, is that you see one, and even though you might not get everything in it, it's still going to be entertaining enough for you to go back and want to pick up on everything.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a big comic book fan or anything. So I guess that's not as big of a problem in this as it is for other movies not being standalone, like in other movies and franchises and series.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of other highlights of the movie. Acting superb everywhere, all over the place. Everyone's great, particularly Robert Downey Jr. of course.
Yeah.
What's his face?
Justin
Hammer. Yeah.
Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is fantastic.
Oh yeah, I love him in this. I love him.
Every scene of
because he feels like this idiotic goofball, but at the same time, you can tell he's like you. There are certain scenes where his ability to sell stuff really shines, and like his.
The scene where he is giving Rhodey all the weapons.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And he's explaining the brilliance of the ex-wife missile. It is.
Oh, it's a great scene.
It's wonderful.
It's a great scene. Yeah.
AC/DC's nice.
AC/DC's nice. The music's all right. I mean,
see, the score for this is not that great for me. I think it's just generic.
The score for this feels
generic.
A lot, yeah, well, generic and also a lot more like some scores. Most movie scores either they have their scores where they have a theme and the themes are important, which is stuff like Lord of the Rings and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And then you have scores where it kind of it's in the back and it's the scores are very dependent on the movie for them to be interesting, and they play off each other rather than the score itself being its standalone thing that is nice because it's applied to this.
Yeah.
So, which is a lot more like a Hans Zimmer thing, and that's kind of what this is. It's just not Hans Zimmer, so it's not quite as good. And it's,
you're goddamn right.
It just kind of it's there. It moves the movie along, and it's nice. It's all right. I'm thinking specifically of the scene where he's putting together the new element.
Yeah.
The score builds well there, but
it's not bad, but
it's typical.
I don't remember anything from it.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking specifically of the first Iron Man movie. I remember a lot of that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it felt very original to me. Because it was the guy who did the Game of Thrones theme.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there were, I think they do some callbacks to that theme in this movie, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I don't know.
I feel like I picked up on that a few times. Yeah,
that's one thing that bothers me about Iron Man 3. Just going back to AC/DC. There's no AC/DC in that movie.
Oh.
It's not Iron Man without AC/DC. Even the Avengers, they play Shoot to Thrill. What the heck?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Did they run out? Was the expiration date on their rights for
Probably.
AC/DC music? Did that come
that's
up?
entirely possible. Yeah, but then Iron Man 3 felt a little different than the first two.
I still want AC/DC. I don't care.
That's
I
fair.
do not
That's
care.
Fair. That's fair. They could have put it in there. I agree.
But that's Iron Man 3. So overall, this is a great movie. I
agree. I'm not getting the main problems.
I'm not super in love with it.
Yeah.
But it's very entertaining. There's a lot here to enjoy. It is not a prequel to the Avengers.
I assume
like everyone says it is.
I assume a lot of the problem comes with the portrayal of the characters. I don't know. I'm not a huge Iron Man like fan to. I've read some of Iron Man's comics, but I mean the characters.
Nerd.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm gonna die alone.
See,
okay.
unlike me, Ty Klops actually reads the comic books that these properties are based on. I'm a hack fraud. I just watch the movies and nothing else.
Yes, this is true. You should never listen to him at all because I will always have the right answer because I actually do my research and I'm not a hack fraud.
I know my Batman stuff, okay?
Like and subscribe if you think that A-Red is a hack fraud and I am not. But no.
Copyright Ty Klops, 2015.
Yes, pretty much. But it's, like I know Justin Hammer and obviously, like I said, they combine two characters into Ivan Vanko and
yeah.
I mean they do take liberties, but they feel more or less like they're supposed to. I feel like I don't know. And also a little side thing. This might be a slight spoiler for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but this was back in season 1, and it was a throwaway thing where the actual Whiplash, like the guy with the same name and who just has a whip, he's not nothing special to him, shows up in an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So there you go. If you're a comic book fan, you know they addressed that and they got him there too. So I don't think there's a
We're still waiting on the real Mandarin though.
Yeah. Which is something I was thinking about a lot when watching this movie. Are they ever gonna? As I feel like there's no room for him to show up in the next slot. Does Phase 3 go up to Infinity War?
I don't know.
I feel like I'm pretty sure.
Maybe he'll show up for Infinity War and then Thanos will promptly kill him off. That would be hilarious.
Yeah. I don't know. I assume they're saving him for like after Infinity War. If they want to do more like world building. Although it doesn't seem like Robert Downey Jr. will be coming back after that.
Who knows?
Based on contracts, but we don't know that at all. So Anyway, that's...
He's getting old. Then again, Hugh Jackman's getting old, and
recently I think there was news that the next 1 or 2 movies will probably be his last. I saw.
Oh, Hugh Jackman, yeah.
Yeah. There's been more news about that recently. Recently, in our time, you're watching this from the future. You know what we don't. I like how we got on a Mandarin commentary, even though it's Iron Man 3. Whatever. Apparently there was a Ten Ring suit in here. It's relevant.
This slightly turned into a discussion about the MCU, which we've never really done on the channel.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up. Final thoughts. Iron Man 2.
I enjoyed it.
Because clearly we've run out of original thoughts on Iron Man 2.
I highly recommend it.
Go back and watch it. If you haven't seen it in a while, go back and take a look at it.
If you hated it the first time, go back. Go glance through it again. If you have any problems with it, comment. I'll try and clear it up, because apparently I did that a lot for A-Red on our watch.
You did clear up a lot of stuff.
There was a lot of stuff. Just because when I saw it the first time, when was this? Did this come out?
2010.
Yeah, so I was younger when I first saw it, and I had no problem with it then, because I don't know. I just didn't have my movie hatred settings on, and
are you accusing me of something?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, for me, when I saw Iron Man 2, I would have told you immediately, oh, this is better than Iron Man 1. But then again, I would have said the same thing about Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, so don't quote me on any of this. Do not quote me on any of this.
But basically, yeah, so when this was actually the first time I'd watched it again, I think, in full at least, since I saw it in theaters, and I felt like I went in with a fairly open mind, and I wasn't really disappointed. Everything more or less I could find links on how to make sure that made sense, and I don't really have much problem with it. I think you should go back and watch it if you came out with a distaste for it.
Other than a few leaps in logic and just some little taste issues I have with certain things.
Yeah.
I don't have any real problems with the movie. I agree with Tyclops. Go check it out. Go watch it again if you haven't seen it in a long time. I think you'll really have a good time.
Yeah.
If nothing else, you'll be entertained, because Robert Downey Jr. is amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Tyclops, what are we talking about next time? Cloverfield, that's what we're talking about next time. All right, everybody.
In for the save.
Everybody, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Nice form, a little rough on the landing. You may have to settle for the bronze.
This is my Eiffel Tower. This is my Rachmaninoff's third, my Pieta. It's completely elegant, it's bafflingly beautiful, and it's capable of reducing the population of any standing structure to 0. I call it the ex-wife.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Settle for the Bronze. This is A-Red007 here with
Tyclops.
And this week we're talking about Iron Man 2, which is... I don't know, how do fanboys feel about this movie? Cause
I feel like it's a... See, I thought that animosity was fairly high towards it.
Yeah. Like, generally, when I see, like, when people do their top 10 lists of... Or their rankings of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies...
lower than most.
It's usually that and Thor The Dark World are toward the bottom.
Yeah.
And...
As well as some people don't like the first Captain America and the first Thor. I know those are other ones.
Those are the usually ones at the bottom. But I'm going to go ahead and say before we get any further, we're not quite sure where all the problems, the critiques that people have, we're not quite sure what's going on with that. My thoughts on this movie. I pretty much have the same thoughts as you have. In all the movies we've done for Settle for the Bronze thus far, I have not found one that I hated or didn't like. I've liked all the movies we've talked about.
It's up there. It's coming somewhere along the road.
But I like the movie a lot, but I'm not quite to the level that you're at. Because I do have some problems with the movie. But they're not like huge, broad problems that break the movie. It's not like there's huge story problems or character issues. It's small stuff. It's just here and there.
And that's fair.
I'd probably give it like the B- B range. I mean, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. Agreed. It's
much like Pirates of the Caribbean 3, it's very entertaining. It's chock full of entertainment value.
I love to watch it.
I could watch this movie on a loop. I could watch it over and over again.
Because I think... I guess we should go ahead and say should this be the end of our non-spoiler territory.
Now we're getting into spoilers, people.
Just jump right in. To jump right in, I feel like all the characters are very... lived in. They all feel. I mean, a lot of them have little, like weird eccentricities to them, and is that even a word? I don't know.
Eccentricities, yes.
Yes, there we go. Since I've seen a lot of them, so I can't say for sure.
Just a general.
I probably have to watch Iron Man 3 again to really get a good grasp. But I'd say it's probably right under the ones that are generally really, really well acclaimed.
Like Guardians of the Galaxy, Winter Soldier, first
yes.
Iron Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe middle range. I guess a little lower to the bottom just because there have been a lot of good ones. But...
See, it's so hard to rank the Marvel movies because, personally for me, so few of them I think are of low quality.
Yeah.
That all of them are kind of just bunched up.
Especially not Age of Ultron. That movie was great. Yeah, sex scene between Scarlet Witch and Black Widow though, that was awesome. And
yeah, that came.
They brought in the Mandarin. Oh, it was so good. It was so.
It's pretty hot.
Actually, we are doing this review ahead of time before Age of Ultron comes out, but we're trying to prime this up so it releases.
Trying to rake in those views.
Yeah, but. For some reason, if somebody's looking up Iron Man 2 after they go see Age of Ultron, we're very excited for it, and that's propelling the reason for us doing this movie.
Yes.
Anyway,
what are my
Resident Dictionary, thank you. But I feel like they all there's nothing that just makes them caricatures or anything like that. Like they all are weird and awkward to some extent, but they all it's a lot like at World's End, where every character, they're goofy, but you feel for them, and even less so because less of the characters are there just solely for comic relief. But like every character does things that are true to, they stay true to what they've been established as throughout the movie.
The internal logic of the characters doesn't break down,
which is again a similar praise I had for At World's End.
Yeah.
Why are we comparing Pirates of the Caribbean and Iron Man 3? I don't know.
Because we watched the two recently in recording times, whatever.
Yeah.
That was the last video that we did for Settle for the Bronze, so get over it.
Well, are you insinuating that our viewers haven't watched it? Loyal fans, prove him wrong in the comments by liking and subscribing.
I insinuate that haters and trolls are going to comment in the comment section. It's like, quit talking about Pirates 3, I want to hear about Iron Man 2, that's what I clicked on. Tyclops, your scorekeeper, go ahead and give us scores.
So,
and we have added a new statistic that we're going to use, and that is the Metacritic score.
Mm-hmm. Just to have more statistics. Statistics are fun. Also, it helps in this case because otherwise it looks like we're reviewing a fairly positively reviewed movie.
Back to the Future.
Go. This is one of the higher reviewed ones that we're going to do. It's got 7.1 on IMDb, 73% critics rating, and 72% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes, so basically the same, which is rare.
That doesn't usually happen.
Yeah.
Usually it's a difference of like 20, 25 points.
At least.
Especially with the movies that we're talking about.
10 to 20, yeah. And a 57% on Metacritic.
Yeah.
So, personally, I actually think they're all pretty low. I enjoy this movie a lot, and I don't really understand why there's that many problems, or that much hatred for it. Yeah. I'd probably put it at maybe even like a high B. Like I'm a big fan.
Where does it rank in the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies?
You're putting me on the spot here. It's been a while.